Hey guys, gunpowder handshake back. Part 4 of our video. Now in part 4 what we're going to do is have to do a little work. Here was our factory duck bill. We're going to be replacing it with our beaver tail only because, like I said, it's a little more comfortable. The wear on the hand on this one is a little uncomfortable after a couple hundred rounds. Okay guys, we've got everything back together. In our last video we put our hammer in, we put our sear and our disconnect in. And on this video what we're going to be doing is going over just a few other things. Our beaver tail, we're going to be replacing our mainspring housing. We've already replaced the hammer, the duck bill, and where is my barrel bushing here? We're going to be replacing. Now the barrel bushing is still on the gun. Let me go ahead and get that off for you guys. Now to get the barrel bushing off, the easiest way is you're looking at the gun. You took it off going clockwise, you're going to go counterclockwise and lift. Slides right off. So these parts right here is what we're going to be replacing, guys. Go ahead and pan it back out for you. We're going to be replacing our barrel bushing, duck bill, hammer, mainspring housing, sear, our factory grips, and last but not least, we're also going to be replacing the screws that came out. We took the rounded screw, or the flathead screws out. We're going to be replacing these flathead screws here with these really nice hex head screws. That way, if they don't line up, it's not that big of a deal. And guys, what I was talking about scratching on it, some people say that it's nothing major, but to me, it is. If you look at it, I don't know how clear you can see it, but there's some little scratches and stuff on it. Not a big fan of it. Okay, let's set those aside. Now we're going to go back. First thing that we need to do here is we need to go ahead and get our speed chute out. Mainspring housing. Alright, now guys, I will give you a little bad news on this and a little good news as well. With the mainspring housing, you have to buy parts, because the only thing with these is they do not come with the spring, a plunger, anything already in it. All it is just the mainspring housing. You cannot use the mainspring out of here because of the ILS. It's shorter. So in your rebuild kit you will get a new mainspring, a new plunger at the top, and a new seat at the bottom. I've already put mine together, but in all fairness, it's not really simple and easy telling you guys how to do something if I went ahead and done it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and disassemble it just the way you would have gotten it. Okay, let's go ahead and move the gun out of the way here. Let's go ahead and pan down a little bit so you guys can get a good look at what I'm doing. Alright, now guys, be very, very careful on this because it will pop out. Now what you're going to do is you're going to press down and you're going to pull. Let me see, go ahead and get this pin out the back of it here. Okay. Now when you get your mainspring, this is all you're getting, your speed chute. Nothing at all in there. Now, the Ed Brown rebuild kit, when I told you guys to pick this up, there was a reason for that. In this rebuild kit, you get 3 things that you're going to need for this. Alright, this is going to be your base, your mainspring, and then your plunger on the top or your cap. Now the way this properly goes together, the pointed one is on the bottom. You're going to slide your spring over it. And then the top one, it's got the divot. Pointed one, divot. What you're going to do is you're going to take your speed chute now, or your mainspring housing, and you're going to slide the pointed one in first, with the flush one being up top. The easiest way to do this, I found out, is to take a chisel. Now I like these because they're a little larger. The other chisels are the same way. Now what you want to do is you want to press down into this. Now once you get it so low into there, what you're going to do is you're going to take, I use a small Allen wrench because it only came with one in the kit, so, and my other mainspring has the little boomerang, I like to call it, in there. So you can't use that one. You're going to have to use something different. Use something very simple, Allen key. Alright. For this I'm going to have to set it down just because it's kind of hard to do it with it standing up. Alright, now all you're going to do is push down in there. When you push down in there, you're going to be able to set your Allen wrench in there, which is what I did. It just pretty much holds it in there. Alright. And now with that all put together, let me fan back out here for you guys. Now with that all put together, we're going to set that right here. We're going to take our factory leaf spring. Now let me go ahead and wipe this down real good. These things do get dirty pretty easy. Hear a lot of people bending them. If you rack your gun and your hammer is falling, rack the slide on it, and the hammer keeps falling forward every time when you rack the slide real fast, you might want to think about replacing your leaf spring or possibly your disconnect. Both of those can cause that problem, because if your disconnect gets worn, it basically causes the gun to go into full auto without you even knowing it really. I've not had this problem, but once again, every time I fire my gun, I come home, I clean it, do maintenance check, because it is a firearm. It can kill you if if it's not safe, it's not been checked and reliable. Okay, guys. Now what we're going to go ahead and do is lift our hammer strut out of the way, take our leaf spring, and now if you look, there's a little notch right there on your leaf spring, little notch on the back. It's just going to sit right down in that little notch. And then lay just in like so. Now you want to take your hammer strut and lay it down very carefully, because it can knock that leaf spring out. Now you're going to take your mag well. What you're going to do is, you can see a little slide here. You're going to line it up. Slide it right down in. Now you don't want to push it all the way up in there, because remember guys, we're also going to put in our beaver tail. Alright, now we'll go ahead and lay this down. That way it's kind of holding the mainspring in there, if you will. Now guys, I'm going to drop in beaver tail. One thing I will tell you, that was the 429 SG by Wilson Combat. Again, that is 429 SG by Wilson Combat. What you're going to have to do when I put it into the gun, it hinders a little bit. Didn't want to click all the way down. So what you're going to have to do is, I got me 1,000 grit sandpaper. I'll show you guys right here. Just some 3N 1,000 grit sandpaper. And all you can do is just fold it in half. It took me a little bit of the Hops gun oil. I put it on the edge of the sandpaper really good. And then you can just take it and just go back and forth over the whole piece of steel. Back and forth. Flip it over and do the same thing all the way up and all the way down. I didn't have to do anything here or anywhere else, just on the sides. It only took me about 10 minutes. Go ahead and wipe all this off, because I touched it with sandpaper. Don't want any stuff in the gun that shouldn't be in the gun. Alright. And we'll go ahead and set our beaver tail in. Now I actually like to go ahead and put the beaver tail in before I do the mainspring. Some people do it a little differently. First thing you need to do is put your pin back in for your slide stop and your safety. Now your hammer has to be cocked back in order for your safety to go back into the firearm. So we're just going to cock our hammer back, we'll lay our safety down in there. You have to squeeze in on the beaver tail. Now this is the tricky part. That little pin keeps this from pushing all the way flush. So what you don't have to do is take your screwdriver here. You'll have to go behind it just a little bit and push just enough to give it room to clear. Now once you've given it room to clear, it should just fall right in there. Alright, now that that's in, what you want to go ahead and do is line up your strut and your mainspring housing. Now once you get your strut and your mainspring housing lined up, you can set the pin in, it'll fall in. Check out part 5 guys, it'll be the finish up of the gun. This is Gunpowder Handshake signing off.